Often I am asked, what does a hero truly need? Much depends upon the hero. Would you be swift? Then for you I have speed beyond measure. Would you be strong? Then I can grant you the might to overpower any foe. Would you be wise? Then come closer and I will unlock your inner cunning. What does a hero truly need? That is for you to decide.
Dota 2, one of the most played games on Steam. But what is Dota 2? As I already said, Dota 2 is a game. It's a multiplayer online battle arena, also called MOBA. You may think now that almost every game is a MOBA, because most of the games are multiplayer, online, and you fight in a battle arena. Usually in MOBAs you see your character right from the top, and MOBAs are most of the time strategy games. And Dota 2 is one of them. Maybe even the most complicated one. Who knows? Dota 2 got published in the year 2013 by the company Valve, that also created Steam, the biggest game selling platform. But technically it already existed before and was just called Dota. We could also call it Dota 1. Oh, almost forgot. If you wanna know what Dota means, it means Defense of the Ancients. But Dota 1 wasn't an actual game. It was a modification of the game Warcraft 3, published by Blizzard. That mod was created by IceFrog, who still is the leading developer of Dota 2. The mod was quite successful, and the company Valve asked for it to make Dota an actual game. And that's how Dota 2 was created. After time to time, the game was grown quite a lot and gets updated regularly. And the hero names and looks also got changed, because they were basically just Warcraft 3 characters. Some new heroes also came into the game with new lores and abilities. Because of that, the meta always changes. The meta is basically everything that's good in the current patch. Heroes, items and strategic moves. So for example, the hero Lifestealer, who sucked in the last patch, is a meta hero now. Maybe later he will start to suck again. Maybe he already sucks when you're watching this video. That's why it's always worth to try some new stuff, because even if it's not good at the moment, it might be good in the future.
Dota 2 is a strategy game. I know you already heard it, but to show you how complex it actually is, I will tell you how long it takes to know what you are doing and be able to know which move is good and which one isn't. So first, when you start playing it, you have no idea what to do. The only thing you might be able to know is the aim of the game. That's destroying the enemy ancient, a big building on the other side of the map. More about how you do this later. Anyway, you play the game and think that the game is very complicated. After you start to understand more and more, you start to realize that the game is even way more complicated than you first expected. Even players that spend thousands of hours playing this game can learn something new. New stuff that you learn and think they are next level, and something only pros know turn out to be basics of the game. That's why Dota 2 isn't just a game that you can play sometimes as one of your games you play when you feel like playing it. You play Dota as your main game, or you don't play it. It's true that there are some people that don't play it as their main game, but most of the Dota players don't play anything else. That's why the average Dota player is actually very good. The average Dota player knows every hero and every item of the game. More to items and heroes later. While for example the average League of Legends player does not.
So okay, let's go back to the aim of the game now. Now you know what the aim of the game is. That's destroying the enemy ancient and protecting your own one. Here you can see how it looks like. That's why the game is called Defense of the Ancients 2. But as you can see, there are also some other buildings lying around there. These are the towers and they look like that. Towers are protecting the ancient. You can't attack the ancient as long these two towers in front of it are alive. These two towers can't be attacked as long all of the three other towers in the base are still alive. You have to destroy at least one of these three towers to attack the two in front of the ancient. But it even continues because these three towers also can't be attacked. To attack them you have to attack the tier 2 tower on their lane. These are these ones. To attack this tower you have to attack this one, and the same goes to the other lanes as well. And to attack the tier 2 towers you have to destroy the tier 1s on the lane as well, of course. So you slowly push into their base to win. I hope you understand it now. So you know now that there are lanes on the map and two teams that have to destroy each other. One team is Team Dire, the bad ones, and the other team is Radiant, the good ones. The lanes you have to push out also have names. The one on the right side is the bottom lane, the one in the middle is the mid lane, and the one on the left side is the top lane. You may notice now that the Dire part of the bottom lane is shorter than the Radiant part of it, and that the Radiant top part is shorter than the Dire part. These parts also have their own names. The Radiant top part and the Dire bottom part are each team's offlane, because they are quite similar to each other. And the longer parts, the Dire top and Radiant bottom lanes, are each team's safe lane. They are also quite similar to each other. The names already say that the safe lane is the safer one and the off lane is the offensive one. The two mid lane parts don't have a special name. They are still just the middle lane.
Good. Now you know what the aim of the game is. But you probably don't know how to reach that aim and what you are in that game. The Dire and the Radiant have both a team of 5 players, so Dota 2 is a team game. You as a player pick a hero. Yes, finally you get to know what a hero is. Heroes are the characters you play with. You can pick one from 117 heroes every game. Later, because of updates, there will be even more heroes to pick from. Every hero is unique and has his own strengths and weaknesses. To explain heroes a bit more, we will take one to explain everything. We take Phantom Assassin this time. Phantom Assassin is a physical damage hero that relies on farm and levels. As you can see, there are 4 abilities I can choose from. These abilities are here to help you to kill other heroes or to take down towers. These abilities can also be upgraded, but to do that you have to level yourself up. Without levels it's almost impossible to take down a tower. So levels are really important. They make you get new abilities and make you able to upgrade them. They also increase your stats. Attack speed, attack damage, health, mana, and more. More to stats later. Anyway, you get levels by killing creeps. You don't even have to kill them yourself. You just have to be there when they die. But what are creeps and where do they come from? Every 30 seconds, creeps spawn on every single lane and walk on the lanes into the direction of the enemy's base, trying to push the towers forward and take them down. Of course, both teams have creeps and the game can't end without heroes, because the creeps of both teams have the same power. The creeps start fighting against each other and killing each other. I told you that you don't need to kill the creeps yourself to get experience, but there's something else that is very important. It's gold. Gold helps you to get items. Items are very important. Every hero needs other items. Some items give you bonus stats. As I already said, more to stats later. Be patient. Or another bonus ability to help you win the game. And to get gold from creeps, you need to get the last hit on them. You do that by right-clicking them when they are low on health. And that's what happens in the laning stage, the first 10 minutes of the game. The heroes go to the lanes and try to get as much last hits as possible and try to prevent the enemies to get them. Where you got to go with a specific kind of hero later. So why you do this in the first minutes of the game is because this is like the time to prepare yourself for the later stages of the game. Some heroes want to get as much items as possible, and others want to help them. Also, there's no way to push towers when you are still as weak as you are on the start. Only when there's nobody on the lane to contest you or you go on one lane as 5 is it possible to take down towers. But there's always gonna be someone who contests you on the lane because they don't want to lose towers. But don't think now going as 5 people on one lane in the laning stage would be good. You will probably get 2 towers on one lane, but then the other team would get at least 1 on each of the 2 other lanes. And in addition, your team would only get as much gold as you can get on one lane. Also, does the experience get split up to each single person on the lane. So you only get the experience of one lane for your whole team, while you could get 3 times more because there are 3 lanes. Yeah, I just had to say that because this is one of the worst strategies ever. So please don't do that. Anyway, after some time the laning stage ends. The first towers are going to fall and a lot of heroes run to other lanes to kill someone. Everyone leaves the lanes and do what they have to do in the mid game, 15 to 30 minutes of the game. To be on the lane for too long is very dangerous, because when you push out the lanes and get too near to their tower, they will jump on you and kill you. But if the lanes are that dangerous right now, how can I get XP and gold? There is a place you can go called the jungle. Here are a lot of camps with creeps in it. You can kill them to get gold and XP. These creeps are neutral. That means they are neither radiant nor dire. They are a bit stronger than the lane creeps, and in the jungle there are no lane creeps of yours to tank them. So you first need some levels and gold to go to the jungle. Of course you still need the lanes and have to defend them. To push is still the only way to win. What I'm trying to say is that the heroes leave their lanes and do other things than laning. There are a lot of moments where you still have to go on the lane and push, and moments when you just join a fight. But it would take way too long to explain what to do in which situations. We also want to talk about other stuff and not only the strategy. Even though the strategies are very interesting. Yeah, anyway, let's just continue. So you know now that you need items and levels. A level 25 hero, that's the max level by the way, has like 10 times the better stats than a level 1 hero. Also, the abilities of the level 25 hero are way stronger than the ability of the level 1. You can even kill the enemy with one hit against some heroes that are level 1 when you are level 25. Anyway, let's just go back to our Phantom Assassin. Okay, let's look at her abilities. The first one is a dagger. As you can see here, the damage of it is physical. The ability goes through spell immunity. That's an effect provided by the item called Black King Bar, and by some specific hero abilities. Down there is the mana cost and the cooldown of the ability. Almost every active ability costs mana and has a cooldown. As you can see, the dagger gets stronger on each level. The damage gets higher and the cast range of it, and its movement slow. The cast range is the range of how far you can throw the dagger. The dagger is a target unit ability, so you have to press the key to use it. The regular key is Q, and then you have to press left click onto the target you want to hit with the dagger. As you can see, your hero throws the dagger onto the enemy. I don't think we have to talk about every single ability, so let's just go to the third one. This is an ability that can be actively used, but let's look at the passive stats it gives us. There are passive and active abilities. This one gives us evasion without us having to click a button to activate it. What evasion does is that it makes normal auto attacks, not spells, have a chance to miss. That means when you hit a PA who skilled her passive, it could be that the hit won't do her anything because it misses. You don't have to understand all of that. I just said it that you know that there are passive and active abilities. But there's still one thing that you need to know about abilities: the difference between normal skills and ultimates. The special thing about the ultimate is that their maxed level is already the 3rd level and not the 4th. But you can only level your ultimate at level 6 for the first, level 12 for the second, and level 18 for the 3rd time. Well, you can upgrade your other abilities practically all the time. The ultimate ability is usually your strongest ability. That means that when you reach level 6, you are usually going to be able to kill someone or to trade way better on the lane.
Okay, enough about abilities. We will take a good look onto the stats right now. There are a few important stats that are noticeable. Let's just look at the stats that everyone should know. Let's look at the most simple ones first. Health and mana. As you can see, we have a max HP of 620. This is going to increase with every level. My maxed mana is 255 and also increases every level. As you can see, because I got levels, my maxed health is 1220 and my maxed mana is 483 now. Okay, there is another thing important that has something to do with health and mana as well. That thing is regen. On the right edge of my health bar is the number of my hero's regeneration per second. There's also a number like this on the right edge of the mana bar. That's, as you probably expected, my mana regeneration per second. So that means I'm getting healed by 5.4 health and 1.7 mana per second. That thing also increases on every level, of course. The next thing we want to look at is movement speed. My movement speed is around 300. That means when I walk 300 units per second. I can't really show you how much that is. I can just show you how I'm walking a bit with that speed. But you kinda get a feeling about it after some time playing. Let's go to some of the offensive stats now. Attack damage and attack speed. You attack by right clicking the unit you want to attack. Some heroes hit harder and some faster than others. This helps to kill, to farm creeps and to push towers. Another thing that is very important is the attack range. That shows you how far you can hit. So there is a difference between melee and ranged. Melee is usually an attack range of 150 units, but there's one melee hero that hits 175 units, one that hits 250 units, and one that hits 300 units far. The ranged heroes can shoot further than melee, and the highest base attack range on a hero is 700 units far. But there's also one hero who is a ranged hero but has a base attack range of 140. So why are melee and ranged separated? What does that mean? The reason is that there are items which only work on melee and items which only work on ranged heroes. We'll take a look at some examples, but not for too long because the items are something for later. There is an item called Quelling Blade. This item makes heroes able to hit harder on creeps. You do 20 attack damage more to creeps than to other units as melee, while a ranged does only 7 more with this item. The next example is the Stout Shield, an item that almost every melee hero should buy. It has a 50% chance to block 20 attack damage from the next hit on you on melee, while as a ranged hero it only blocks 10 damage. 20 blocked attack damage is actually quite a lot for the early game, because most of the heroes do around 50 attack damage at the start of the game. So for 200 gold, which is a cheap price, it's definitely worth it. Okay, let's also look at an example that is better on ranged than on melee. It's the Dragon Lance, a bit more expensive item that gives you some stats and increases the attack range of ranged heroes by 140 units. For melee it doesn't increase it. So there are a few items more that are better on melee and a few more that are better on ranged. But I think you understand now why melee and ranged are separated. Next stat. We'll take a look at the defensive stats now. These are armor, magic resistance and status resistance. You get armor from items and almost every hero has some armor as base stats at the start. Armor reduces the physical damage of the enemy when getting attacked. If you press Alt, you can see how much percent it blocks. I can't say how much percent one armor reduces because the more armor you have, the less does every single armor matter. It's a good system, but I don't know the exact equation for this. But it's a good system, because if it wouldn't be like that, you would either get 100% physical resistance easily, or a little amount of armor would just be useless. The next thing is magic resistance. Magic resistance reduces the magic damage used against you. Every hero has a base magic resistance of 25. Some get more by passive abilities and others by magic resistance items. So 25% magic resistance reduces 25% of the magic damage used on you. So it's way more simple than armor. The last defensive stat is status resistance. I think status resistance is one of the most interesting stats to look at. There are only a few abilities and items that give you status resistance. What it does? It reduces the duration of negative effects on you, so stuns, slows, roots, silences and so on. It doesn't reduce the damage over time effect though, but the duration of the negative effect. So now you know the most important base stats, and now we are able to go to the stats that only heroes have. The stats that rule over all of them, they are the attributes. There are 3 different ones of them. They are called Strength, Agility and Intelligence. Every hero has around 20 of every single attribute. Some have a bit more and some have less. So let's go to the first one of the attributes. Strength. Every point in strength increases your health by 20, your regen by 0.1 and your magic resistance by 0.08. So strength are the stats that make you able to tank more damage. Also, every hero has a main attribute and get 1 bonus attack damage from every single one of their main attribute. That means heroes with strength as their main attribute get 1 bonus attack damage from every single point in strength. The next attribute is agility. The good old Phantom Assassin is an agility hero, so she gets 1 bonus attack damage from every point in agility. Anyway, what does agility give you? 1 agility increases your attack speed by 1. The max attack speed is 700 and you can hit 4 times a second with that much while you attack like once in 1.5 seconds without attack speed. Agility also gives you 0.16 armor and movement speed, increased by 0.05%. The last attribute is intelligence. 1 intelligence gives you 12 mana, 0.05 mana regen and 0.07% spell amplification. Spell amplification increases the damage of your spells. So now we finally finished the stats and can jump to the items now. Items are very important. You buy them with gold. You get gold by last hitting creeps, killing or just waiting. You get 90 gold per minute. Most of the items are just for stats, but we will take a look at some of the basic items now. The consumables. The consumables are items that go away after you use them. One of them is the town portal scroll. An item which every hero has to buy, and everyone has one at the start of the game. They cost 50 gold and are used to teleport to one of your buildings. Towers, ancient or other buildings. After usage, you lose one town portal scroll and they get a cooldown of 80 seconds. Then we have the courier, another item which is needed every game. It costs 50 gold as well and spawns a creature that can bring you your items from the shop. You can only buy items from shops. If you buy an item and you aren't near a shop, the item gets placed in the stash and you can let the courier deliver it to you. Here are all the shops on the map. This is the shop in the base, these are the side shops, and then we have the secret shop. The secret shop is a place where you can buy some items that you can't buy at any other shop, but you can also send the courier to and let him bring you your items. But be careful, you can only buy the courier once and the enemies can kill it. But fortunately, he gets revived after 3 minutes. Another important item that is very useful but nobody wants to buy is the ward. There are 2 different kind of wards. The observer wards and the sentry wards. Wards are invisible. The observer wards cost 75 gold and you can place them. They stay on the place you place them for 6 minutes and give you vision. You can't see the enemy in the fog. Your hero and wards remove the fog around themselves, but be careful to not place them on bad places. Trees and cliffs block vision. The special thing about the observer wards is that they have a buying cooldown. You can't buy an infinite amount of it like the other items. There can be a maximum of 4 wards in the shop. Every 135 seconds there's a new observer available in the shop. Then there are the sentry wards. They cost 100 gold and you can buy as much of them as you want. They also stay 6 minutes and reveal invisible stuff, but only when you have vision on that area. So you can also see enemy wards and destroy them with 2 hits. Then we have other important consumables, like the tangos. These leaves cost 90 gold and you can get 3 of them. If you use one of them on a tree, you regen faster for 16 seconds. You get healed by exactly 115 health in that 16 seconds. Also, when you use your tango on an enemy ward or other stuff that I'm not going to mention now, then the duration gets doubled and you get healed by 230. But after some of the little items, we'll also take a look at 2 examples of some bigger items. The first one is the Desolator. It costs 3500 gold and increases your attack damage by 50. It also reduces the enemy's armor when the hero with the item hits by 7 for 15 seconds. Then we have the Eye of Scuttle, which increases all of your stats by 25, your health by 225, and your mana by 250. Also, every time you hit an enemy while having this item, their attack speed gets slowed by 45 and their movement speed by 35%. This effect goes on for 5 seconds if the hero with the item is melee and 2.5 seconds if it's ranged. So I think you got the concept of items now, and we can go to the next part. But before we do that, we will show you some funny hero voice lines.
We got this one in the bag!
Where'd you get a bag?
This is Dota! Alone is best, but sometimes you need mates. Worst comes to worst, you can always eat them.
You guys saw now how heroes and items function. We will take a look at a very interesting part now. Because there are 5 heroes in a team, there are 5 roles. Position 1, Position 2, 3, 4 and 5. They all have a different job to do. Every hero can play every role, but there are some heroes that are better for specific roles than others. All the roles together create a pattern of a perfect team. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. Position 1. The safe lane carry. The job of the safe lane carry is very simple. He has to win the game. It's the safe lane carry who is usually going to be the one who destroys towers and the ancient. But to be able to do that, they have to get strong. How they do that is by farming creeps until the late game begins. They want to farm as much items as possible to dominate the late game. We will look at a good example now. Anti-Mage. His first ability is Mana Break. Every hit he does breaks the mana of the unit he hits by 64 at maxed level. The second ability is Blink, that makes him able to easily move short distances in no time. The third ability increases your magic resistance by 50% at maxed level and makes you able to reflect spells used on you. His ultimate ability does damage, depending from the mana missing from the maxed mana of the enemy. So, as you can see, this hero doesn't have strong abilities if he doesn't have items. He needs attack speed for his mana break to be good. Stats in general. So he needs farm. His blink also helps him to do that, because it makes him able to jump from creep wave to creep wave and creep camp to creep camp. So as you can see, this hero has a lot of potential. Carries usually play on the safe lane until they are able to farm in the jungle, and at the end of the day, if everything goes fine, they win you the game. But that doesn't mean they are the best role, as you will realize when you watch the points of existence of the 4 other roles. Position 2. The mid. The mid is the hero that goes to the mid lane. There are 5 heroes but 3 lanes, so there is 1 lane someone has to be alone on. That lane is the mid lane. It is actually the safest lane, considering that Dire and the Radiant Towers are so near to each other. Our example this time is Shadow Fiend. His first ability is called Shadow Race and is a nuking area damage ability that can be used on 3 different distances with separate cooldowns. The next ability is Necromastery, which is passive and gives you 1 soul each creep last hit and 12 each kill. The max amount of the souls increases at every level. You lose 50% of the souls when dying. Every soul increases your attack damage by 2. Your third ability is also passive and reduces the armor of your enemies in an aura. And your ultimate is an active that when activated sends out all of your souls to do magic damage to every unit they touch. So the most interesting one of these, that is typical for mid lane heroes, is the Shadow Race. That ability has the potential to do insane amounts of damage in the early to mid game. Because the mid lane is a solo lane, the experience you get is all yours and you don't have to share it with another teammate on the lane. That gives you early levels, and with abilities like that, you can dominate the mid game easily. So mid lane heroes are most of the time mid game heroes. They go to the mid lane because they are the heroes that rely on levels the most. While the position 1 wants to have as much items as possible, the position 2 wants to have as much levels as possible. To the late game, most of the mid lane carries are still strong, but not comparable to the position 1 carries, but if they played well, they can also easily win you the game. Position 3. The offlane. So, as you can already hear in the name of the role, the offlane heroes start on the offlane. They are usually heroes that have a good sustain on the lane and can kill the position 1 to prevent him from farming. Also, without levels and items, they often are the strongest heroes at the start of the game and sometimes also in the mid game. After the lane ends, they want to create space for the cores in their team, to position 1 and position 2. Space means space and time to farm and get stronger. The offlaners want to get as much attention as possible by being annoying and applying pressure on a certain point on the map. So they are like babies that want attention from their parents. Because most of the offlaners are quite tanky and hard to kill, they make the enemies waste a lot of time trying to kill them, and this makes the cores of your team able to grow on power. To show you that a bit better, we will also take an example here. This time it's the hero Centaur Warrunner, a classic offlane hero. His first ability is a stun that stuns every enemy around you. His second ability does damage to the enemy used on, depending how much strength Centaur has, and also does a bit damage to himself. His third ability does damage passively to any unit that attacks him, and he can actively use it, increasing his attack damage depending on how often he got hit by the enemy heroes or towers before usage. And his ultimate does increase the movement speed of every teammate hero to 550 for a few seconds. So, as you can see, he has a lot of kill potential on the lane. Perfect to prevent the enemy carry to get farm. And because he really wants to get strength items, he is also gonna be tanky later on and can also escape with his ultimates. So that's basically what offlaners do. They tank, create space and initiate fights. Position 4. The roamer / jungle. The position 4 is quite interesting, because there are like two ways to play it. One way is the jungle. Jungle heroes have abilities that are perfect to tank and kill creeps and are able to go into the jungle at the start of the game. They just farm there and you will leave your offlane alone on the lane. That's totally fine for some offlaners that can also lane alone, because that way they get like almost the same amount of XP as the mid lane heroes. In the mid game, the jungle just kinda fights and farms around, and sometimes they also win you the game. But the other way to play the position 4 that doesn't steal your carry farm is the roam. At the start of the game, everyone has their lane, but the roamer doesn't belong anywhere. His job is it to walk from lane to lane and trying to get kills on the lane. Our example this time is Pudge. He is an ugly fat guy that has a hook, and that's all you need to know about him. Most of you might know this kind of ability from other games. It pulls the unit you hit with it towards you, and if you are good enough, you can easily kill the enemy by hooking him under your tower and attack him with the other players on that lane you are ganking. But if you are bad, you're probably going to be useless, because you will miss your hooks all the time. After the laning stage ends, the roams actually still do the same. They just help your team to get kills. They are usually not that good at solo killing enemies, but can disable them for a long time. And that's the roam, a walking killing machine. Position 5. The support. This is probably the most unpopular role of the 5 roles, because people think that this role is bad. But the support is one of the most important roles. Supports usually start on the safe lane and help the carry to farm. There are a lot of ways to do that. Healing is one of them. But surprisingly, only a few supports can actually heal. In most of the other games, healing is the only thing supports do and has something to do with supporting. But in Dota, supporting is a lot more. One of the things is harassing. Harassing means that you attack the enemy offlaner with your hits and spells, that he loses health and can't harass your carry anymore, so that your carry can easily last at creeps without getting harassed. Another thing is warding. They buy wards, which you know now what they do, to give vision and being able to know that, for example, the roam is trying to kill you. Because of that, you can be prepared for that and play it a bit safer as long the roam is there. Then there is also creep pulling. So when your creep wave is too strong and pushes to their tower, that is not good for your carry. He can't farm safely near the enemy's tower, because there the offlane hero has an easier job harassing and killing him. So pulling creeps means that you remove the creeps from the lane. You do that by attacking a jungle camp near the lane, letting the jungle creeps chase you to the lane, and so the jungle and lane creeps will attack each other. So there is one creep wave less on the lane and the enemy creeps push into your tower and your carry has a safe farm again. So let's take another example. One of the most typical supports is Crystal Maiden. Her first ability does area damage and slows, and her second ability makes an enemy unable to walk when used and also does damage. So two perfect harassing abilities. Her third ability is a passive that globally increases the mana regen of the heroes in your team. So another supportive thing. Her ultimate is a channeling teamfight ability that slows enemies in an area around her and damages them. I wouldn't call this a typical support ability, but it's a nice extra. Anyway, it used to happen that your supporting will make your carry strong enough to start to lane alone. At this time, you should start to help other lanes, and then you kinda play like a roam, only that you still have to buy wards. Also, if you would stay on the lane, the only thing you would do is stealing your carry experience. So yeah, a team that has all of these roles together has good chances to win. Sadly, it used to happen that, for example, you don't have a support, but like 2 safe lane carries. You end up having 2 useless heroes because they steal each other's farm. So you need to have a perfect balance of all of these roles. And remember that some heroes fit better for some roles than others. A Crystal Maiden position 1 is bad because her stats are just too bad for that, and she's also slow in farming. And an anti-mage support wouldn't be able to harass or do any of the support stuff because all of his abilities are farming based. I could tell you way more examples, but I think you know what I mean, and we can go to the next part.
So you know a lot about the game now, but how did all of this happen? How did it come to the Battle of the Ancients? That's going to be explained in the in-game lore. It's quite a complicated story, but we are just telling it you now how we understood it. So it begins with the creation of the universe. At this point, 2 forces have come to existence. The Radiant and the Dire. They were meant to fight each other forever. It was their destination to defeat each other. This battle was going on and on and on. But there was also a third fragment, a third ancient that wanted to end the fight or at least protect the universe from it. He created the moon and imprisoned the 2 ancients into it. It was a success, but after time to time the moon started to take damage. As long the 2 ancients were imprisoned, they still fought. The moon wasn't able to handle the intensity of the battle forever. The moon exploded and the third ancient who was protecting the moon got split up into a lot of little pieces. One of these is also a playable hero called Arc Warden. Anyway, here is the point where our story really begins. The ancients were still caught in the pieces of the moon, but they had the power to control even one of the most powerful beings of the universe, the heroes. They control them and make them fight for themselves. That also explains why it's possible that some kind of an angel fights for Dire and an evil demon fights for Radiant. So the player isn't actually being the hero. The team of 5 players are actually the ancient itself. According to the lore, there's actually just one Dota game that you play and then the story is finished. So actually every time you play a new game, the time gets like refreshed. That's the main lore, but every single hero has its own lore, but we are not going to look at them now. Just download Dota and read them yourself. As in almost every online game, there is a ranking in Dota. That gets decided by a number called MMR. It's quite simple, the more MMR you have, the higher is your rank. It's gotten a bit more complicated at the start of this season, but I can still explain it. So before you start gaining MMR, you have to play 10 calibration games. After doing that, it gets decided depending on how much games you win, how much MMR you get to begin with. Usually on your first calibration you get between 0 and 2000 MMR. There are 2 different kinds of MMRs. They aren't really different, but you have to calibrate them separately. That's the solo and the party MMR. If you go for a ranked game alone, it's a solo MMR game. If you go for a ranked game with at least one other person in your party, it counts as a party MMR game. Both together show you which rank you are, but the higher one of both of them matters like 4 times more. Anyway, what happens after calibrating? Solo and party MMR are still separated. If you win a ranked game, you get plus 25 MMR. If you lose 25. So you have to win more than you lose to climb ranks. Let's look at the ranks. The first rank is the Herald rank. You can also call it the Noob rank. To be there, you need 0 to 700 MMR. The next rank is Guardian, still noob rank, between 700 and 1400 MMR. Next is Crusader, 1400 to 2000 MMR. By the way, these numbers aren't exactly right. It's quite weird and nobody really knows the exact numbers for reaching a specific rank. Next is Archon, which goes like from 2000 to 3000. This is the place where the average player is. Next is Legend, starting from 3000 and going to 4000. Ancient players, which you could already consider as pros, have between 4 and 5k. Next is Divine, 5 to 6k, and everything upper than that is Immortal. At the point you reach Immortal, the game shows you which place you have. You can be like the place 5000 or 4000 or whatever. Between place 1 and 500 are the best players. The ones that also go to the esport tournaments. Stars like Miracle and Zero Tail, Nat, Dandy are there, fighting for the trophy. The biggest tournament is the International, where the best of the best teams fight against each other. The prize pool of TI8 was like $25 million. That makes Dota the esport with the highest prize pool. TI9 is going to be in China, but you can also watch it live at home by just opening Dota and watch it there.
They get themselves another shot that's taken down. Azame with a BKB reflection. Anna starting to be forced back. They have got X-Nova and FY back in the game now. No Echo Slam or Global. The Ancient is exposed. As OG, the Nimbus down, the shockwave from Zeb gets themselves another. They're onto the Ancient. OG. OG.
They've done it. They have done it.
Done it. The power of flowers and friendship. I've done it here, ladies and gentlemen. Your grand champions of TIA. It's OG. Can you believe it? OG, a team tipped by some, to be the 18th most likely to win TI, and they've just gone and done it.
They don't believe it. You look at them in the booth, they look
They've
stunned.
just gone and done it.
That was...
A team that was shaken up months before this event.
They just
Ripped
formed.
apart.
They just reformed this team.
Thompson, he's only been playing for a couple of days.
His earnings
now
were
he's won
$3,000 before this.
Oh my goodness. OG.
Congratulations
OG.
to OG. They deserved it. They played out of their minds in the entire tournament. They didn't follow anyone else's strategy. Maybe that was a stepping stone. They just played their own game, and it was miraculous.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, OG, your TIA champions!
This is the end of the video. I hope you understand now what Dota is. Everything we talked about was kinda basic, and there is still a lot to learn. But anyway, thank you for watching our documentary about Dota 2. Please give us a feedback about our English, video editing, informations and more. Also tell us what you would like to know as well for future videos. But anyway, have a good day and we might see us in another video.